My best friend convinced my girlfriend to quit her job and travel the world together, then tried to turn my entire friend group against me when I confronted them. My girlfriend Sarah, 26F, and I, 28M, had been together for 3 years, living together for 2. Everything was great, we had similar goals, shared values, and were even starting to talk about marriage. Sarah worked as a marketing manager at a tech company, and I'm a software developer. We were both doing well in our careers and had started saving for a house. Enter Jessica, 27F, my best friend since college. We'd always been close, and she got along great with Sarah when they first met. Jessica has always been the free-spirited type, changing jobs every year or so, taking random trips, and generally living life on her own terms. I admired that about her, but I never thought it would impact my life the way it has. About 6 months ago, Jessica started talking to Sarah about how life is too short and how we're all slaves to the corporate world. At first, I didn't think much of it. That's just Jessica being Jessica, right? Wrong. So very wrong. I started noticing changes in Sarah. She began talking about feeling trapped in her job and questioning our life plans. She'd spend hours on Instagram looking at travel influencers' pages and watching YouTube videos about people who quit the rat race. Still, I figured it was just a phase. Then, about 3 months ago, Sarah dropped the bomb. She'd decided to quit her job and travel the world with Jessica. They'd been planning it for weeks behind my back. They had already booked tickets to Thailand for the first leg of their journey. I was stunned. This wasn't the Sarah I knew. When I tried to talk to her about it, about our plans, our future, the practicality of it all, she accused me of being controlling and afraid to live. Those weren't her words. They were Jessica's words coming out of Sarah's mouth. I confronted Jessica about it. I told her I felt she was manipulating Sarah and destroying our relationship. That's when things got really ugly. Jessica turned it around on me, saying I was a toxic boyfriend who wanted to clip Sarah's wings. She started telling our mutual friends that I was trying to control both of them and prevent them from living their best lives. Within weeks, my social media was flooded with passive-aggressive posts from our friend group about toxic men and supporting women's choices. Friends I'd had for years started distancing themselves. Some even blocked me. Jessica had somehow turned my confronting her about manipulating my girlfriend into a narrative about me being an abusive partner. Sarah moved out while I was at work one day. She left a note saying she needed to find herself and that my negative energy about her choices made it clear we weren't meant to be. Again, Jessica's words, not the Sarah I knew. They left for Thailand 2 weeks ago. Sarah's parents are devastated. They loved me and can't understand what happened to their daughter. Her younger sister reached out to tell me that Sarah had maxed out 2 credit cards preparing for this trip and had withdrawn most of her savings. Yesterday, I saw their first Instagram post together. They're at some beach resort, with a caption about escaping toxic relationships and choosing happiness. Jessica was tagged, along with about 20 mutual friends who all liked and commented with support. It feels like I'm living in some twisted alternate reality. The worst part? Some of our friends who initially sided with me have started to buy into Jessica's narrative. They're saying things like, well, maybe Sarah really did need this, or you have to admit, you were being a bit controlling by not supporting her dreams. Dreams? Since when was abandoning her career, relationship, and financial stability to backpack through Southeast Asia with my manipulative best friend her dream? The Sarah I knew wanted to start a family, buy a house, and grow in her career. She was proud of her achievements and excited about our future. I've tried reaching out to Sarah's family for support, but they're as helpless as I am. Her mom told me Sarah barely responds to their messages anymore, only sending occasional photos from whatever beach or temple she's visiting. The most infuriating part is how Jessica has somehow made herself the hero of this story. She's posting daily about helping friends break free and supporting women's empowerment. She's gained hundreds of followers and is already talking about starting a life coaching business to help other women escape their golden handcuffs. I've lost my girlfriend, my best friend, and a significant portion of my social circle in one fell swoop. The narrative has been so thoroughly twisted that I look like the villain for simply trying to protect my relationship from someone I thought was my friend. Last night, I got a group text from some college friends saying they needed to take a step back from our friendship because they've heard some concerning things. They wouldn't even hear my side of the story. 10 years of friendship, gone, because of Jessica's manipulation. Sarah's sister told me that Sarah had actually called home last week asking for money because they'd underestimated the cost of living in Thailand, even in hostels. But rather than admitting they made a mistake, they've started a travel blog and are trying to get sponsorships from backpacking companies. I'm not writing this for advice, I know the relationship is over. I'm writing this because I need someone to know what really happened. I need someone to understand that I'm not the controlling monster Jessica has made me out to be. I'm just a guy who lost everything because his best friend decided to play puppet master with his life. To add insult to injury, Jessica just posted a TED Talk-style Instagram reel about recognizing toxic friendships and letting go of people who don't support your growth. The audacity of her painting herself as the victim while systematically destroying my life is almost impressive in its calculation. I've started therapy to deal with all this. My therapist says I'm experiencing a form of gaslighting by proxy, where Jessica has manipulated not just Sarah but our entire social circle into questioning my character and motives. She says it's more common than people think, but that doesn't make it any easier to deal with. For now, I'm focusing on my work and trying to rebuild my life. I've joined some new social groups and am making an effort to meet people who don't know Jessica or Sarah. It's hard to trust people after something like this, but I know I can't let this experience define me. If you've read this far, thank you. I needed to tell this story to people who might understand, who might see through the carefully crafted social media narrative of two brave women living their best lives and recognize the manipulation and destruction that actually occurred. Update: just as I was about to post this, Sarah's sister sent me screenshots of Sarah's private Instagram stories, that I'm blocked from seeing. They're in Bali now, and apparently Jessica has convinced Sarah to invest what's left of her savings in some sort of digital nomad coaching business. They're selling courses on how to escape the 9-to-5 and live authentically. The irony would be funny if it weren't so tragic. To the commenters who will inevitably tell me I'm better off without Sarah, you're probably right. But that doesn't erase 3 years of love and shared dreams. It doesn't make it any easier to watch someone you care about be manipulated into throwing away everything they worked for. And it certainly doesn't help when you're painted as the villain for trying to prevent it. I guess the lesson here is that sometimes the people closest to you can be the most dangerous. Jessica didn't just end my relationship, she systematically dismantled my entire social world while convincing everyone she was doing something positive. That's the kind of calculated manipulation that keeps me up at night. It all started about 8 months ago. Jake and I had been best friends since college, the kind of friendship where we knew everything about each other, went on road trips together, and were basically brothers. My girlfriend, Sarah, was someone I'd been dating for 2 years. We were serious, talking about moving in together, and genuinely happy. Final update, 6 months later. Remember how I mentioned Jake was still traveling and looking for his next victim? Well, karma finally caught up with him in the most spectacular way possible. About 2 months ago, I started receiving messages from various people in our extended social circle about Jake's latest adventures. Turns out, he'd been running the same manipulation playbook with multiple people across different countries. The house of cards came tumbling down when he tried his routine on the wrong person, a travel photographer with a massive social media following. Let's call her Maya. Jake, being Jake, didn't do his homework properly. Maya wasn't just any influencer, she was connected to several of the biggest names in the travel blogging community. When she started noticing his pattern of manipulation, she did some digging. What she uncovered was fascinating. Jake had been systematically targeting people, mostly women, in different countries, convincing them to fund his shared adventures while slowly draining their savings. He'd create elaborate stories about joint business ventures, travel blogs, and photography projects that never materialized. Sound familiar? Maya compiled everything into a detailed post that went viral in the travel community. Suddenly, victims from all over started coming forward. The stories were eerily similar: the love bombing, the manipulation, the financial exploitation. Sarah wasn't the first, not by a long shot. Speaking of Sarah, she's doing much better now. After that initial contact where she realized Jake's true nature, we stayed in sporadic communication. She managed to salvage her career, landing an even better position at a company that allows remote work. Ironic, isn't it? We've had several long, honest conversations about everything that happened. While we're not getting back together, too much water under that bridge, we've reached a place of mutual understanding and respect. The friend group that Jake so expertly fractured? It's been fascinating watching the reconciliation process. When Maya's post went viral, several mutual friends who had sided with Jake reached out with apologies. Some were genuine, acknowledging their role in perpetuating his lies. Others seemed more concerned about saving face. I've accepted some apologies and politely declined to rebuild other relationships. Growth means learning which bridges to repair and which ones to let burn. The most surprising development came from Jake's family. His sister reached out to me privately, revealing that this pattern of behavior wasn't new. Jake had apparently done similar things throughout his life, leaving a trail of destroyed relationships and financial chaos. She apologized for not warning me years ago, explaining that family dynamics and denial had kept her silent. It was a sobering conversation that helped me understand that Jake's issues ran much deeper than I'd realized. As for Jake himself? Last week, he finally surfaced on social media after months of silence. He posted a long, rambling apology that somehow managed to paint himself as both the victim and the enlightened guru who had learned valuable lessons. Classic Jake. The comments section was a masterclass in people seeing through manipulation tactics. The aftermath of this whole saga has taught me more about human nature than I ever wanted to know. I've learned that sometimes the people closest to us can be wearing masks so convincing that we miss the red flags waving right in front of our faces. I've learned that healing isn't linear. Some days I still catch myself getting angry about everything that happened, while other days I can look back with something approaching pity for Jake. My therapist says I've made remarkable progress, but more importantly, I feel it. I'm dating again, slowly and cautiously, but with an open heart. I've rebuilt my circle with people who value honesty and genuine connections. My career has taken off in an unexpected direction. Turns out all that emotional processing led me to discover a passion for counseling others through similar situations. To those who followed this story from the beginning and offered support, thank you. Your messages and comments helped me feel less alone during some really dark times. To those who might be going through something similar, trust your gut. If something feels off about a friendship or relationship, don't ignore that feeling. Real friends don't need to orchestrate elaborate scenarios to prove their worth. For anyone wondering if they should reach out to someone who might be being manipulated, do it. Even if they're not ready to hear it, plant that seed of awareness. I wish someone had done that for me sooner. Life is slowly returning to normal, a new normal, but a better one. I've learned to appreciate genuine friendships more deeply and to set boundaries more firmly. I'm no longer angry at Jake. Instead, I feel a strange mixture of pity and gratitude. Pity for someone who may never experience real connection because of their own destructive patterns, and gratitude for the harsh but valuable lessons his betrayal taught me. They say the best revenge is living well. I don't know about revenge, but I do know that I'm living more authentically now than ever before. And maybe that's the real silver lining in this whole mess. Sometimes it takes a complete demolition to build something stronger. As for what's next? I'm focusing on the present, building a life that feels genuine and meaningful. The engagement ring I had bought for Sarah? I sold it and used the money to fund a solo trip, not to escape, but to reconnect with myself. Sometimes the best way to move forward is to reclaim the things that were tainted by betrayal and make them your own again. This will be my last update. Thank you all for being part of this journey.